All right, folks, welcome back to Mike and Maurice's Mind Escape. We have episode number 151 today. Is there life on Venus? We're going to be talking about phosphine and panspermia. And I just wanted to touch on this subject because Maurice was out of town and I was moving when this news came out. And I wanted to really look into it and give it a good take here. So that's what we're going to do. You can check us out. Please subscribe to our channel. Hit the like button if you're listening on an audio platform. Check out our YouTube channel. If you're checking us out on YouTube, please check out our audio platforms. You can find us at mindescapepodcast.com. And you can also find us on Patreon at patreon.com/mindescapepodcast. And head on over to Indra's Web, which is the app we've been working on. Go to indrasweb.org and sign up to get an alert when the app goes live. It's an app we created surrounding all these topics, metaphysics and metaphysical things and stuff of that nature. And it's just a platform where people with open minds can discuss hypotheses and theories and all that kind of stuff. So head on over to there. And what's going on, Maurice?
Not much, my man. What's the good word?
Nothing. I'm excited. We have some cool guests coming up. On Monday, I believe we have Anthony Tyler coming back to discuss the dive manual, the continuation. We said we were going to do part 2. And then I think on Tuesday, next Tuesday, we are going to have Brian Marescu on, who is going to be on Joe Rogan this week with Graham Hancock discussing his new book, The Immortality Key, A Secret History of Religion with No Name. And the book is about, the mystery schools and psychedelics and pretty much a lot of the stuff we already talk about on here, the ancient Greeks and the Romans and what happened with the Western tradition of psychedelic use and all that. So I'm excited for that show. And we also have Dr. Gregory Little coming back on at some point here in the next couple weeks, and we're going to do like a slideshow episode where he goes through some of the ancient American mounds and stuff like that. So that'll be fun. And so
beautiful. He's always a good guest. Looking forward to that.
Absolutely. And what did you think when you heard this news about Venus, by the way, when it came out?
It didn't really surprise me. I think in the next 10 years there's going to be all kinds of information flowing in that shouldn't really shock. Well, it can shock you, but at the same time, I always compare it to what did we know 100 years ago and what will we know in 100 years from now. So I'm open to everything and anything, and just sitting back and letting it all flow in. How about you?
Yeah, I mean it's exciting news that it's being taken seriously, like by the mainstream scientists now. And actually, there was an embargo on the article, meaning that it had been known within some of the circles for a while, but nobody had been talking about it, which is kind of weird. That why it was actually leaked, I think. So you have to question like what are the motives, but it's nice that it got out there and people are talking about it. And science is science. It's going to be very hesitant to say something of the nature of there might be life, on another planet. But at the same time, I think that there's good proof now that it's a possibility, whether it's in our solar system or, one of the many solar systems in our galaxy. So. But I put in a little slideshow together for this, so let me pop that up. And to JR out there who commented about the voice syncing up, I don't know if it's perfectly synced, but I think I dialed my voice in a little bit better, so I don't know why I'd been doing that forever, and I don't really pay attention to it too much, but I think we got it closer, if not on. So
yeah, leave us a comment below, and we'll just keep chipping away at this thing.
Mm-hmm. All right, let me see here. All right. Life on Venus, ? There's a picture of Venus, and, a lot of the pictures of these planets are, they color them a certain way. Some people, immediately jump to like all sorts of crazy nonsense when you say stuff like that. But I mean, it is what it is. You want to make this thing look beautiful. So or at least
Mm-hmm.
what you would, because I think that our technology can only do so much in that regard, right? You're a photographer, you know about photography. Um, so,
Yeah, I'm more of a naturalist. I like to enhance kind of what I've seen, but like I'm not taking out the sky and putting in a starscape or putting in mountains where they're not really there. But at the
mm,
same time, I respect that as an art form. When it comes to realistic stuff, I think that we have a decent grasp on what things look like, and we're just again we're enhancing kind
yeah,
of what we're seeing. So
for sure, for sure. I mean, when you do that stuff, what you dial in the colors a little bit more vibrant, like that kind of stuff. You just make it look pop a little bit more in certain places.
yeah, I shoot it because I try and capture as much detail as I can. So I might expose more for the sky, knowing I'm gonna bring up the highlights in the shadows a little more. So to the actual naked eye, if you were looking at that scape, it might be a little more, it might be like a little darker on land and then in the sky. So I just
Yeah,
try and I try to keep it as natural as I can. Sometimes I go a little overboard. I definitely went a lot more overboard in the past, and I think more amateur people do that.
mm,
But I try and keep it as natural as possible because I kind of want to give you a nice representation of what I saw with my eye.
mm-hmm.
And again, I appreciate some of these other guys that go nuts and put mountains where they're not there. That's an art form all on its own. But I'm
Right.
a nature photographer. I try and keep it as true to the vision that I've actually had. So
Have you thought about getting like a nice telescope and starting to do like that kind of photography, or?
yeah, well, I've always been interested in the stars and stuff. And when I was going out doing that comet series, that
Oh
was that
yeah,
was
the
fun because I had a
Neowise.
mission.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's every segment, every niche of photography. People spend lifetimes trying to become, a competent night photographer and stuff like that. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
more of a water, sunset, morning type of guy,
Yeah,
and
you're
that's
more of
kind
a
of where I'm.
Roger Waters type. Yeah, we know.
Don't whoa, bro. We're not going into that kind of talk. Love the music. The politics are all over the place, but
Yeah, you're a
um,
real Roger Waters. Okay.
no, I like shooting at night when I can, but I'm by no means a pro at it. And like I said, all those kind of things take long times to hone the craft and really understand how to shoot it the right way. But I
Mm,
do love the nighttime stuff because you do a long shutter speed, so you click the camera and then
yeah.
it opens up and it sucks in light for 30 seconds. So you're sitting there waiting. That's kind of the thrill of it all.
And
And
anybody
then after 30
interested
seconds,
listening, you on our YouTube, you can go to. We have a playlist for Maurice's adventures and his Neowise series and him, taking some shots of the sky and stuff like that. So check those out if you haven't already.
beautiful,
Um,
beautiful.
so here's some facts. It's the second planet from the sun, Venus.
Hmm.
Venus was named after the Roman goddess of beauty and love. And after the moon, it's the second brightest natural object in the sky. And you can occasionally see it with your naked eye during daylight. So that's kind of
Mm.
cool. You might have to look for and get some nice Venus shots here, maybe in the wintertime.
Well, I'm always looking at the sky, and I always look up, and you can tell what stars are what are stars and what aren't stars. So I'm assuming I've seen Venus multiple times because
Oh, yeah.
there's a yeah.
Yeah, you for sure have. It's been observed and plotted across the sky since the second millennium BC, probably even earlier than that. Obviously, we talk a lot about ancient civilizations and knowledge of the sky and precession of the equinox. That's just when academia acknowledges it, but it could go back a lot farther depending on what civilization and what megalithic structure it's possibly tied to.
Hmm.
And it's the name for the morning star aspect, or the name of it, or I'm sorry, the name for the morning star aspect of it is Lucifer, which means light bringer in Latin. The Greek term for Venus was also Phosphoros, which means light bringer as well. So if you want to get religious on it, get religious on it. But a lot of these terms, Lucifer and stuff, they weren't added till the Bible, till like I think the King James version later on. So a lot of these things aren't even the true origins or meanings of it.
Right.
People just take it and run with it and then apply it to how they want to use it. But
Well, there was no negative annotations around Lucifer until, the game of telephone
well, yeah, and
trickled
then
down.
then you get it's a whole thing because then there's the devil, but then there's also it just gets into this whole thing of
Yeah.
what's what,
And we
and
aren't getting into that, ladies and
that's
gentlemen.
not what this episode's about. But I thought I'd point that out. In 1962, Mariner 2 was the first planet, or Venus was the first planet beyond Earth that we landed a spacecraft on. The thick clouds on Venus, though, made it impossible to like observe anything. It's not like Mars. Like Venus has these thick, dense clouds, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. And that's probably where this possible life is living, if it is life. Venus is one of 4 terrestrial planets in our solar system, meaning it's a solid body planet. We also have gas planets, like Jupiter and stuff. So it is one of the planets, you think about like Earth and Mars, and, those are the 2 we mainly think about as terrestrial, but obviously Venus is as well. It just has these dense, thick clouds in the atmosphere. The atmosphere on Venus is comprised of 96.5% carbon dioxide and 3.5% nitrogen, and it has traces of sulfur dioxide. The mass of the atmosphere is 93 times more than Earth's, and the pressure at the surface is 92 times that of the pressure on Earth. So that's kind of interesting. The other thing, so the sulfur dioxide is most likely, or the sulfur dioxide is most likely coming from the volcanic and the seismic activity on the planet, which kind of terraforms itself here. I'll try and pull up some pictures. And again, these colorations are artistic in nature, but you'll get a feel for it here in a second. And what else was I going to say? Oh yeah, it has 3 times as many volcanoes as Earth, even though, we have some pretty big ones. They definitely have some volcanic activity going on as well there. So.
Oh yeah.
Let's see here. Here's a couple. I think the one on the right's the enhanced color version.
And we say enhance lightly.
Let's go here. So on the right, obviously, you have Earth. On the left is another color rendition of what Venus looks like. And that's pretty much what it looks like up in the sky, too. It's got that dark amber hue, and it's large, and that's how I recognize it usually. It kind of does look like the sun, though, a little bit, right? Like a lighter, or a darker version of the sun.
Yeah, it's a beauty. It almost looks like a shell of what Earth was at one point.
Well, the difference is we have our tectonics kind of like recycle itself. I think that theirs on that, I forget, I'd have to read the geology of it again, but I think that their tectonics is like more stable. It doesn't regenerate or recycle like ours does. And obviously we have all water and all that whole thing going on too. So there you can see kind of what the core would look like based on what they think.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy when we get these. Like I said, we already have insane telescopes and lenses. When we get 10 years from now.
Yeah, what's the one, the Webb, the NASA, what's the name of it? Something Webb telescope they're supposed to be launching. That's supposed to be sick. This is kind of what the surface supposedly looks like. Again, this is somewhat of a rendition. I don't think this is an actual picture. I think I pulled this off of Wikipedia. So you can see there. I don't know if that's a volcano, that peak, or if it's just some sort of elevated mountain.
Time for me to climb.
I mean, it looks pretty desolate, though.
That would be unbelievable trip.
Yeah, if you go hiking there, you ain't coming back.
Yeah.
Um, all right, so the reason or the thought behind why they think life might be on Venus is something that's produced called phosphine, and it's a possible extraterrestrial biosignature. So, what is phosphine? Phosphine is a colorless, flammable, very toxic gas compound with the chemical formula pH3, and the most likely source of organic phosphine production that we know of, that on Earth, comes from the reduction of phosphate in decaying organic matter. So from what I was reading, the phosphine that they detected came from like a temperate zone in the atmosphere. So the concentrations found are not possible with known chemical processes. And if it was like Jupiter, based on like the gases and the pressure and everything, it would be more likely. But I guess with the setup that Venus has, it's not really that likely. So Venus does not have the high temperatures or pressure like the gas giants to form the phosphine. It is speculated that since Venus is subjected to ultraviolet radiation, that eventually the carbon dioxide and water would consume it. So they're saying that this phosphine is being replenished somehow, and they don't know how, through what we know about, chemistry, biochemistry, that kind of stuff. So, but it's being replenished, and it would normally be eaten because, as I mentioned, the atmosphere is 96.5% carbon dioxide. So, I mean, it's saying that carbon dioxide and water would consume it. So this keeps being replenished. This alludes to the fact that phosphine is coming from unknown source. So like when they say unknown source, they do mention that it could be some process, some chemical process that they're just not aware of or something like that. But, geochemistry, photochemistry, but they lean, I guess, in the article, that a couple articles that I read, towards the biological production of pH3 as it's found on Earth. So, I mean, it's interesting. We don't know. See, this is where it gets interesting. I don't want to be the guy that's like using, to use science when it suits, and then, we criticize it when it becomes dogmatic and materialistic and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I think that you have to balance that out. And I think that I want to believe that there's life on there, microbial life or whatever. But we don't know enough, I don't think, to say that it's to rule out that there could be some sort of chemical or physical process there that we just don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, what are your thoughts?
Like you said, I keep an open mind. I want to believe in this or that, but I'm not gonna commit to one lane or the other.
Well, commit to something. Let's hear it.
I mean, well, I would believe that there's some kind of going back to the whole octopus theory, that these things were actually they evolved here later than we did,
with the eggs that were frozen on hitched a ride on comets, and then that kind of a thing.
Yeah, so I've always been a proponent of that thinking. I don't know, it kind of contradicts some of my religious views, but again, were those views the natural views, or were those manifested by man over time? So that's where things get sticky, and that's where things get a little hairy, if you must. So yeah, I know I'm a big proponent of. I think there's definitely life out there. I think we've talked about it before. You say you're gonna look up in the sky and think there's not life on any other planet. That's a little wishful thinking, but at the same time, there is no proof. So this would be a massive leap in science.
Yeah, there are. I mean, there was just an article, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, where, what was I going to say? Oh, they found 2 bodies of water on Mars, I believe. So, I mean, those finds just keep piling up as well. So, I mean, I think most people think, oh, we land a rover on Mars, it does its thing, and then we know exactly all about the planet. But I mean, there's so many variables and so many different things, and we're discovering new stuff about our own Earth. So to think that we would know if there's life or not based on a few rovers is kind of ridiculous. So this is just a diagram of the black sun drop. It's just a process. You can look it up. It's kind of cool when the planet passes in front of the sun. It's a cool effect.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Another diagram. This is the ancient thinking behind it. So I think this one is Mariner 2. It's like an artist rendition of it. So it's kind of what that spacecraft that landed on Venus in the 60s looked like. Here's a picture, an actual picture, I believe. So that's why you get those nice artistic photos, because you look at something like that and somebody be like, what's that? You know?
Yeah. We have a friend that would really attack.
So here's the astronomical symbol for Venus. I think, it's also the symbol for a bunch of other things. I think it's also the alchemical symbol for copper, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's
really
right.
Getting money's worth with this bad boy.
Yeah. So, and that's, we should send some images and lasers of that image there and see if anybody knows what we're talking about here.
Yeah. Well, it would be that's the symbol for women, isn't it?
Yeah, that's also a symbol for women. It's a symbol for a lot of things. Okay, so that was the first article came out like a few weeks ago, I think, and then that was about the phosphine, and then an article just came out a couple days ago, I think, with some research that some astronomers or physicist Avi Loeb and who's the other guy, Amir Siraj. So the research department of astronomy at Harvard University suggests that roughly 600,000 asteroids have grazed Earth's atmosphere in the past. The asteroids might have scraped microbes that live in our atmosphere, and brought them to the second planet in our solar system, which is Venus. Amir Siraj and Avi Loeb's paper has not been peer reviewed yet, but it's up there. You can find it. Maybe I'll add a link down below the video after we're done. They make a compelling argument for the idea of life from Earth hitching a ride on an asteroid and heading to Venus and other parts of our solar system. So,
right.
We've talked about it before, where maybe life hitched a ride to Earth from somewhere else, but they're basing this idea of this phosphine that possibly maybe some extremophiles or microbes or like tardigrades, something like that, caught a ride on an asteroid or whatever, because we know those tardigrades, they can survive pretty much anything, and they dehydrate themselves to survive like nuclear blasts and droughts and all sorts of crazy stuff.
Well, they've survived the 7 cataclysms we've known them, so
yeah, so
they're pretty indestructible in our eyes.
Yeah, I know you like those little water bears. They're your
old tardigrades.
And then in 2017, a meteor grazed our atmosphere over southern Australia. It resulted in a 90-second long fireball that streaked across 800 miles of our atmosphere before returning to space. So there we have an example of a meteor that, was big enough for people to see a fireball, and then it also just jumped right back out of, into the solar system. So if that's the case, they have to look more into life in our upper atmospheres and that kind of thing. I think that there's not enough research done on that from what I was reading. And in 2019, NASA found sugar molecules in 2 different meteorites. So that's kind of interesting. A question would be how prevalent is microbial life again in our upper atmosphere? That's what I was just talking about. And then could extremophiles like tardigrades, could they hitch a ride and successfully arrive somewhere else? I think there was mention that maybe some have even gotten on the moon from, all the travels back and forth and stuff like that.
That's the thing. Like we think about all the ways we know of traveling. We probably don't even know half of the ways of things traveling. So you put that into the mix. Maybe they did swipe on down to Earth and pick something up and head out. Who knows?
Yeah, could be.
Too many possibilities to say no. That's in my mind.
Absolutely.
I like to play the odds, ladies and gentlemen.
But yeah, we did an episode on abiogenesis and panspermia. I forget what episode is it, but you can go back. It's not that we didn't do it that long ago. And we talked about how they think life arose on Earth, like what the academic model is for abiogenesis via the conditions on Earth at the time and the underwater hydrothermal vents and stuff like that. But then, you look at I think it's Stanley Miller's experiments with abiogenesis. And the thing about those, if I recall correctly, is that the experiment took like 20 or 30 years that he put together. But what we thought the Earth was like at the time is now different than where it was. So, we thought there was more like ammonia or something. I forget. I'd have to go back and read. But our idea of what the Earth looked like in the early days that they thought produced life from nothing, pretty much, or inorganic compounds, creating organic compounds, is very different than what we know now about the early days of the Earth.
Yeah, and again, we'll know way more in the future. So,
yeah. I'm trying to think what else. And then, there's different types of panspermia. Directed panspermia is what people that, believe that there's other civilizations or extraterrestrial life. The idea that they're seeding the universe and directing it, to all parts of the universe, pretty much.
right.
So there's that. There's different types of panspermia, and you can look those up too. There's a bunch of them. But yeah, I think when you look at how things survive on Earth, there's things like the tardigrades and other extremophiles. I think there's organisms that can even live in like pools of acid. That was that One Strange Rock, that like 6-part mini series thing. I think they had one of the episodes was about that, how these like organisms live and thrive in these like pools of acid. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's coming right out of the mouth of Will Smith.
Yeah, he did. I like that though. He did a good job narrating.
Oh, he did. Again, it's not like he wrote the thing or anything. It was.
Well, who was the director? It's one of your favorite directors, right?
Oh, wasn't it Darren Aronofsky? But I don't know if he directed. I think he just produced it.
Oh, okay.
Let me get some more information. One Strange Rock, right?
Yeah. All right, get to it, young Kevy. Let's see here. There is the chemical formula for it. Again, it's pH3. And that's what it looks like. So, yeah, I think, let's see here. Ooh, there's 2 of me.
Look out.
Look out, folks.
So that way, the the molecular symbol, what is that representing?
I think it's phosphorus and 3, is it phosphorus and 3 hydrogen, I think? I don't know, look it up.
Okay. Wow.
What was I going to say? If you had to bet, based on what you know about like science being, right in some regards and wrong in other regards, would you think that it's more probable than not that it was life, or would you think that that there's probably some chemical, you know, process or physical process that we just don't know about because we obviously don't live on Venus and are aware of everything that's happening there?
I think that there's life out there, and that's period.
I agree. I agree. And I think that maybe we'll hear something about Mars too, because they have finding all this water. I think they found ice too, not that long ago.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know how deep you go down the rabbit hole, but some people have even came to the conclusion that some kind of bomb went off there, and there that was the original Earth, and
yeah,
because
that's.
I know they find molecules or they find some kind of material that's like the only way we know of it is from nuclear explosions and
I
stuff
think you're
like
talking
that.
about. Is it uranium 237? I don't know. It's like uranium and plutonium. The version of it that's already been through. It's been expelled. It's like the byproduct of a nuclear explosion.
Right,
I
but
think they found it on the moon. Is where they found it.
oh, okay. But again,
I mean, that begs the
we don't
question
know
though.
where any of this stuff comes
Did
from.
that
So
come from the explosions that we've done here on Earth and then get absorbed on, or like hit the moon? Like did that
hmm
get out of our atmosphere and then onto the moon? I don't know. I don't even know if that's possible. But again, we're not scientists, folks. So
I'm not a scientist. I'm more of
um,
a Bill Nye type.
um, I think that I agree with you. I think that there's probably life in this specific example. I think it's weird that scientists are pretty sure of themselves in most regards, and they were holding this one close to the vest, and they weren't putting it out there. So there's something weird about this one in terms of um, they want to, we want to get there and see what's going on. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, you can look this up, but I think Russia claimed Venus as its planet or something like that already, because
Wow.
there's been some recent stuff coming out from like I think our Department of Defense talking about how China and Russia have like militarized space,
hmm
and now that's going to be a big thing. So like if Russia's claiming that Venus is its planet, I mean that's a big deal. See if you can look that up, type that in, and see if something comes up for that. Because I think that's the great frontier, right? Is finding another planet with life. If you can find that, you might be able to pull
Yeah,
some.
it says the head of Russia's space agency Tuesday declared Venus a Russian planet.
So
Says the country that Russia was the only country that the first and only land on the planet after a scientific study found signs of life.
mm,
We believe Russia is a blah.
okay.
I
So,
mean,
so
what are we doing here, folks?
well, that's what I was talking about. Too, with the whole Russia and China thing is, um, are we gonna? Do we have some sort of advanced technology? I mean, we talk a lot about that on the show, like UFOs, and is that our technology? Is it one of their technologies?
hmm
What's creating this these sightings and these experiences and stuff like that? So, if we do
We
have
better
some,
claim Mars, man. We
well,
better get something.
if we do have some sort of technology that's advanced like that, we better start using it. And if we
Yeah.
don't, we better start trying to make contact with these aliens and get them on our side first. You don't want to be
hmm
handing that kind of power to one of the other superpowers out there. So,
Right.
um,
Yeah, it's quite an interesting time to be alive. That's for sure.
it's a very interesting time to be alive. I mean, it's just crazy when you look at this year already, all the crazy things that have happened, news, stuff like this, scientific discoveries, and all sorts of stuff. So I think that it's going to be interesting to see where this goes, and I want to see some of the follow up data too. And I want to if we want to know more information too, like what does that mean? Is there going to be some sort of space race to Venus now with like Russia and stuff like that?
Well, I didn't know Russia landed there. Like, what's that
Yeah,
all
look
about?
that up. Did they land a rover? I didn't. I was just focusing mainly on the planet I saw, but I did see that article pop up like a week ago or something. But yeah, I didn't know that they landed there. Which, I mean, it's one of those things where is that the next thing? Is that the next war is going to be like in space, like over different planets and stuff?
Great.
Have you seen that new show on Netflix with Steve Carell, Space Force?
Mm-mm.
That's kind of what it's about, actually.
Well, you know how TV and they usually
Yeah.
predict stuff.
Well, and they talk about like weaponizing satellites and all sorts of things. So I don't know. It's really heating up out there in space. It's
That's
it's
what
a
I'm saying. We
it's a new
better
space
grab
race.
Mars. Mars
Yeah,
is
we
better
better
than
grab.
Venus.
What would be interesting is if there was like some sort of life, and I mean, I think that the life that they're talking about is like anaerobic life and things because it's 95% carbon dioxide on Venus. So it's not like it would be life as we know it, like breathing oxygen on a beautiful blue planet kind of a thing. It would be some sort of extremophile as we would know it or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I can't find anything. I'm gonna have to
Okay.
dig deeper on the space race.
Yeah, it's something to keep an eye on though, because I did see some sort of briefing where the guy was talking about all that, and um, I think that we'll have to, you know, I don't know, we better make some leaps here soon.
You fire up those UFOs,
Yeah,
baby.
we better start making contact with whatever's in the gimbal and the Go Fast video, the Tic Tac. Um, I don't know. I think that's pretty much it. Um, in terms of this whole Venus thing, it wasn't some massive um, article with like tons of other aspects to it. It was just pretty basic, and that's what I was saying too. Is like I want to, I think I would bet that there's life somewhere out there. Obviously, I 100% believe that there's life out there, and um, we've talked about it on the show a lot. I think that there's a lot of things that are possible, but I think without doing more research and looking into these things, it's going to be tough. Especially, when you look at this aspect of like, war in space or something like that, it's going to make it more difficult to do science. So,
Well, that's how we are. We see a little something and then we jump to every single conclusion from it. We found a little gas and now there might be life, and which is fine. We're trying to connect the dots, but let's take a breath here. Let's step back and look at it and really try and understand what's going down, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, I think they always thought like the one that I always heard about or hear about is Europa, which is one of the moons, I think, on is it
Yeah, yeah,
Saturn?
yeah, I remember that.
And there's like tons of water there, so they always thought that there's probably a good chance that there's life or microorganisms or something. So, yeah, I don't know.
Is that Saturn or Jupiter?
I think it might be Jupiter. I think I said Saturn. I don't know.
That would be sweet to live on a moon. Yeah, Europa is a Jupiter moon.
Yeah, it is. Um,
Kind of looks like Venus in a way.
the shots of the cool thing about Saturn though is, have you ever seen the one pole? It's like a hexagon.
Yeah,
It's like a
we
perfect
know
hexagon.
about this, bro.
Oh, I forgot. You were getting into the esoteric, weird side of that whole thing. But yeah, I think that that's an interesting one when you look at that, because like, what's going on there?
I don't know, but these planets and moons are beautiful pieces of art.
Yeah, that's why I was asking you if you were going to get a telescope. I think you could
I
take
don't know.
some sick
Yeah.
shots.
Well, they're releasing all these new crazy lenses, but I don't. They were using like a 600 or a 700 millimeter, and you could just barely see Saturn's ring. So you need some serious horsepower to get into these. I think they had like a million megapixel some insane thing that Canon built for NASA and it allows you to zoom all in. But again, the
how do you
government
do
stuff is
that? Like
way
how do
more
you do the
advanced than us.
photography through the telescope? Do you have to get a special attachment or something?
Probably. I've seen people just put it right up to the eyepiece, but it's interesting. I was talking to one of our uncles on our canoe trip this year, and you need like when you're looking that far into space because you're moving, we're always moving, even if
Yeah.
it's a tiny bit. You got to get these telescopes they're built in. They move like you set them up and then they move with the Earth. So when you're looking through them, you can actually look at something for longer than a second because it's constantly moving. It's pretty crazy. I never even thought about that. You have to have like some kind of motorized piece that helps you move. I'm not a telescope expert. Maybe somebody can leave some comments below on which ones are good and which ones to get. But yeah, I would definitely love to get something like that. If you don't live in an area where you can see, though, it's almost useless.
Yeah, I think what's the place I was telling you by you where we grew up? I went there for our astronomy class. I don't know if you went with me or something. I don't know. Maybe you were on a trip or something. But it's called Peach Island, or it's like P. It's like Peche or something. I don't know. It's like a
No,
dark.
where's that
It's a dark
located?
park where people do like astrophotography and stuff.
Well, I went up to that dark park, and we'll do another shameless plug for my Neowise Comet expeditions. But I went to that dark park up in Port Austin. Unfortunately, it was very cloudy, in the name of Hogar. But
Mm-hmm.
uh, those dark parks are the money spots. And when I was there, I was kind of packing up my gear because I saw the storm, I saw the clouds. But these people pulled up. They had a pretty nice looking what's it called?
Telescope.
Telescope. Boom. But yeah, no, these guys had some serious telescope power. I was messing around with my little 100 millimeter lens, and these guys had this
You go look what I
big
got.
old
You go
tube.
look what I got. Bink.
Just like normal life, folks.
um, but I think yeah, you should look up that park though, Peach Island. It's like Peche Island or something.
Would you
Um,
you went on a field trip from Grosse Pointe or
yeah, but it's not far. It's in Michigan. So I think it's in like by Lake Huron, maybe. I don't know. I
or
don't
how do
know.
you spell it?
Peche and then island. Um,
Oh, I think I've heard of this. I think I've called it peach. I didn't know.
yeah, yeah. It's called Peach. Like
Okay.
um, where does it say it is?
It's in the Detroit River. I know exactly where
Oh,
this place
okay.
is.
Is it by
That's
is it by Zug Island where that hum's coming from that they don't
no
know?
that that's
You got to get out there
the
with some
other one.
audio equipment and then get that hum.
I don't know if you can hear it on the island though. I almost feel like it's a vibration that like reverberates through the water on.
Yeah, everybody in Windsor over the river
That's
hears
where
it
they
and it
hear it.
drives them crazy. They don't know where it's coming from.
Well, that happened to me the other day. They were doing some construction, I guess, down the street, and this buzz. I thought it was coming from some kind of electronic device in my house. So I'm looking all over the place. I felt like I was going mad, man. It was
Like the lady from Requiem for a Dream.
yeah. Yeah, if it was a real Edgar Allan Poe moment. I'm looking around, I'm feeling insane, man.
It's
Where's it
ripping his
coming
house
from?
apart.
Then I went outside because it's weird. Like when you go outside, the hum, it doesn't sound the same than when I was in my house. But
Yeah,
the Peace Island is way closer to Gross. It's right by Gross Point. How did you guys get there? Just by boat?
I think we drove to.
How did you?
Yeah, I think we drove to like I don't even really remember that much. I mean, this was high school,
Come
senior.
on, bro.
I have a good memory. I don't remember. I just remember we because I did some star trails, like where you leave the exposed longer, because like you were mentioning, the stars move, and then you make these like cool artistic trail shots. So that's what we were doing.
I gotta get to this place because I spent this whole summer. Belle Isle is it's pretty close to me, and it's a pretty good spot to go and just shoot if you have nothing planned.
Hmm.
There's good landmarks there, and you're at the river and whatnot. But I've seen Peace Island because I've done these little canoe escapades that you go from like the Grosse Pointe area across the river to Belle Isle. But you see that island, and I was always wondering what's this island all about.
Hmm.
I wonder what's going on over there.
What are
It's
they
in Canada
doing?
though.
What are they doing over there?
Yeah, it's in Canada,
Is it? It's part
and
of Canada?
uh it looks pretty sweet though. So
Interesting.
I don't know. I don't even know if I can get there now without
Oh, yeah.
with one of those special IDs or whatnot.
Well, maybe one year. What I want to do is like next summer, I want to go to Beaver Island.
Mm-hmm.
Like hopefully the virus is over or whatever, you know.
Hmm.
Hopefully, I mean, we'll
What's
see.
going on at Beaver?
But I want because they have those like old stones like set in a certain way, and they don't know like what era, if they're Native American or even like Neolithic or where these things come from or like how old they are. I know that there's been research into that, and I know that there's been research into like some of the copper found in other places in the world and stuff found from around that area and stuff. But yeah, I mean Beaver Island has a lot of like weird stuff surrounding it, like that kind of stuff, and then like a lot of UFO sightings, stuff like that. But I think we should head up there and do a little weekend shoot where we just try and catch weird stuff. We'll look at see if there's any sort of ruins from ancient civilizations, or see if we can catch something in the sky.
Weekends with Maury, yeah, and then we also can hit up Sanilac, which is not far at all. That's like an hour
Sanilac
and a half.
has those petroglyphs that we could go check out for sure.
Might be a nice little Maurice adventure movie.
Nice.
I really want to get to this island now. This Peach
Peach.
Island.
I told you.
That's sweet.
I mean, it's from what I remember, is pretty cool. But yeah, I didn't know that it was in Canada.
What'd you guys do when you like? So you went there. Now I'm super curious. There isn't. It doesn't look like there's a road there.
I don't remember, to be honest with you. I think you take
Did
like
you
a ferry.
teleport?
I think you take a ferry, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't
for
remember.
sure. Well,
But
back in those days, I don't even know if this was pre 9/11 or not, but you could just drive right over to Windsor, and then yeah, you
yeah,
probably could just take a little ferry.
I mean, those, it was senior year. I was smoking lots of herbs back in the day too. So
You might have been nibbling on caps. We don't know, folks. We just don't know.
yeah, not for that, but I
No,
did
I just
because we were actually fortunate enough to have a planetarium in our high school. And that's what we had our astronomy class. So that was actually a pretty fun class to go to. It was like the first hour every morning. Come in, it'll get a little weird. You go in there and you learn some stuff. Our teacher was really cool.
half the kids are sleeping.
Yeah, nobody really gave a shit, but I would happily go back and take that class again because that was fun.
Oh, I would take that class instantly. I'm pissed that I would took school, you know, for granted. Essentially, there was a photography class. There was all kinds of art classes. We
Mhm.
took some music classes and stuff like that, but we took them in more of the vein of these are almost blow off classes.
Well, the music one, because we knew a lot of the stuff already,
Yeah.
like the music theory and like all that kind of stuff. But I mean, again, those were all fun elective classes to take. But yeah, the planetarium that was pretty cool. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, definitely lucky, and we're grateful for that. Actually, I think they brought people from other schools
Yeah,
to use that planetarium.
yeah. People used to go there on field trips because I remember going there when I was in middle school to see like some sort of show or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, we can keep this a light episode today, and I just wanted to go over that. And again, we have a bunch of cool guests coming up. As I mentioned, on Monday, we have Anthony Tyler coming back to discuss part 2 of his book, The Dive Manual. And we also have on Tuesday Brian Marescu, who is the author of The Immortality Key, and he'll be on Joe Rogan this week with Graham Hancock. I don't know when they're releasing that episode. And we also have Dr. Gregory Little coming on at some point here to discuss ancient American mounds, and he has all of his pictures from his travels to all the different mounds and stuff like that. So that'll be a cool episode. And yeah, we've got a bunch of other guests in the pipeline, and I've got some other stuff as well. We were going to do the Ancient Greece Part 5, Eleusinian Mysteries, but we're going to wait because I want to hear what Brian has to say when he comes on, because that's a main part of what his book's about, that whole the mysteries and ancient civilization, psychedelic use, and Western tradition, stuff like that. So we'll wait to do that to see what he has to say, see if we can add anything to that. And are the shirts in yet, Maurice, or they'll be in soon?
No, they should be in on the 2nd, so very soon. And
Okay, so we'll have some T-shirts here available. They will be $30, and I think I'll set it up so you can do it through our Patreon. And they're our logo just on a black T-shirt, but they look pretty cool. I like them a lot. So, and yeah, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the like button. And if you're listening on an audio platform, check out our YouTube channel and please subscribe. And check us out at mindescapepodcast.com. We also have a blog up there now. I started the first one. I'll probably be writing a couple others soon. I'm going to try and get Maurice to write one as well. And check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/mindescapepodcast. For just $2 a month, you'll get exclusive content. We have a bunch of exclusive parts of interviews and additional interviews on there, so check that out. And that's pretty much it. Everybody stay safe out there. We love you, and we'll check you soon. Peace.
peace.